I want to conclude by thanking a very special partner. This conference follows an extraordinary conference held at the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome in March of this year. Under the patronage of the Pontifical Council for Culture and its project STOQ, S-T-O-Q, Science, Theology, and the Ontological Quest. These two conferences would never have happened without three remarkable people. Professor Gennaro Aletta, the scientific director of Project STOQ, Father Thomas Trofny, executive coordinator of Project STOQ at the Pontifical Council for Culture, and Monsignor Melchor Sanchez de Toca, undersecretary of the Pontifical Council for Culture. The Riley Center is honored to have the Pontifical Council for Culture as a partner and co-sponsor of this conference, and it is my honor to welcome Monsignor Sanchez de Toca, who will present greetings and remarks on behalf of the Pontifical Council for Culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to address a word of cordial greeting to the organizers, so partly to ourselves, speakers and participants of this international conference on Darwin in the 21st century, Nature, Humanity and God, organized by the Riley Center for Science, Technology and Values in collaboration with the project STOQ, S-T-O-Q. I bring, first of all, sentiments of encouragement and best wishes for a fruitful work and dialogue from Archbishop Gianfranco Ravasi, the President of the Pontifical Council for Culture in the Vatican, who gives great attention to the dialogue between the natural and human sciences generally, and between science and the philosophical and theological reflection in particular. The event, which begins today, is part of a wider program of initiatives undertaken by the Riley Center, and the STOQ project began some 2 years ago. A major fruit of this program of collaboration was a series of events concerning the theory of evolution, the most important being the International Conference in Rome last March and the conference we are opening today. Both appointments fall in a year in which we remember the second centenary of the birth of Charles Darwin and the 150th anniversary of the publication of his best-known work, The Origin of Species. This is a time of meeting and reflection around the various and complex issues that the theory of evolution raises, not only for the natural sciences, but also for the human sciences, in particular for philosophy and theology. We know that for many Catholics and for many followers of different confessions and denominations, Darwin and his theory of evolution of the species have become a source of tension and polemic, which sometimes turns into a stance of distinct opposition. Some indeed think that his theories have been the cause for the expulsion of God from the horizon of the contemporary world. As the world, it is said, is continually changing, guided by chance and necessity, there seems to be no place for a provident creator God. We do not know if Darwin would have agreed with these ideas, but in any case, his figure and his ideas are still today invoked by some as the instrument that finally made God a useless hypothesis, exactly as had happened a century before with Laplace and the mechanicists. We can consider ourselves fortunate and happy that while in the past the reactions to such opinions raised almost exclusively apologetic stances, looking for definitive proofs to confute each other, Today, a growing number of scientists, philosophers, and theologians are engaged in a positive and serene dialogue free from polemics with the ideologizing tendencies of various orientations. And it is this stance of an open and serene dialogue that let us analyze together and better understand the great problems tied to the theory of evolution, seeking new interpretative horizons, a new stimuli for research and scientific reflection. It is obvious that such an effort needs time. It is a matter, in fact, of a constant and rigorous effort that considers the epistemological differences of the various disciplines that can guarantee scientific seriousness, avoiding too the simple concordism which is damaging both for the natural sciences and for a serious philosophical and theological reflection. What the current conference proposes to do is look at an itinerary of reflection where, without invading the competences of others, we will be able to exchange visions and understanding between researchers of different disciplines. The dialogue between the natural sciences, theology, and philosophy will become mature, dynamic, and fruitful if, among the many requirements, it embraces an important basic consideration: the sensibility for truth. There is no dialogue without a deep respect for truth and constant search for it. In this sense, two fundamental needs appear. The first is of a subjective and personal type regarding the individual researchers. Schelling, the philosopher, gave us those famous words about the philosopher who must keep chastely his own frontier. These not only remain valid for philosophers, but can also be extended to other disciplines. But it is also true that every scientist, regardless of his scientific discipline, must feel called to listen and exchange the fruits of their study, which stimulate research, freeing them from a narrowness of vision. This need has been oft recalled by the teaching of the magisterium of the Catholic Church that invites theologians to consider the importance of a dialogue with the contemporary world in general and with the scientific world in particular. John Paul II, in the wake of the Second Vatican Council, at the closure of the works of the Galileo Commission in 1992, recalled, "It is a duty for theologians to keep abreast of scientific advances to discern whether it is necessary to take them into account in their reflection or to introduce changes in their teaching." It is also clear that those who investigate the vast field of the natural sciences are called also to be open to casting their eyes onto the reflections that come from the fields of philosophy and theology. As Benedict XVI reminds, wherever the perception of the senses no longer suffices, or where neither the perception of the senses alone nor scientific verification is possible, begins the adventure of transcendence, the commitment to go beyond them. This first task cannot be fully and adequately fulfilled without the institutional support of teaching and research structures, particularly through the universities that enrich the treasure of knowledge and culture within the demands of truth and the common good. In the vast panorama of the university world, a special mission belongs to the Catholic universities like this, Notre Dame, called to stabilize a fecund meeting between, I quote, "the unfathomable richness of the salvific message of the gospel and the variety and immensity of the fields of knowledge in which that richness is incarnated." End of quote, Ex Corde Ecclesia. For this reason, the universities must consider as a specific priority the examination and evaluation of the Christian viewpoint in the dominant values and norms of society and contemporary culture, and to contribute to the integral development of men and women of peoples, in harmony with the teaching of the magisterium and with the ecclesial community. This conference is being held at a place which seems to be a good laboratory to test out this integral vision desired by the Church. The Riley Center, in fact, dedicates itself to further studies in the delicate field of the relationship between science, the technological discoveries, and the reality of values, in order to advance our knowledge of science and technology as human knowledge-producing endeavors, and of the variety of ways these rapidly changing institutions affect and are in turn influenced by society at large. The great modern synthesis of the theory of evolution, to which we will dedicate ourselves over these coming days, is without doubt the result of a complex journey of interactions between the natural sciences, helped by ever more sophisticated technological instruments, and the philosophical and theological reflection which is necessarily linked to the vast horizon of values. To the organizers of this event, a heartfelt word of thanks for the hospitality and engagement in favor of the dialogue between faith and science, and for choosing to work closely with Project Stock, under whose auspices this initiative is being held. To all of you, I express my hope that this conference, which is now beginning, will leave a tangible sign of fruitful exchange of perspectives and insights, and become an impulse and a moment of further encouragement in the promotion of a culture of dialogue and truth. Thank you very much, and good work.
Thank you, Monsignor Sanchez de Toca, for those thought-provoking remarks.